Liverpool 5. A team called Tottenham Hotspur 1. Liverpool have been crowned Premier League champions. It's their 20th top flight title, which brings them level with Manchester United. They're back on the perch.
You've got to share the perch.
They're both on the perch, Jim.
It's quite an arrogant perch.
A red perch. Doesn't feel very well balanced at the moment, does it?
Going on what we know, how long do you think both of them will be on the perch?
Yeah. Listen, they've been the standout team of the season. They've been fantastic, really. I mean, the biggest credit you can give them is that we've not really had a title race.
Oh, my goodness.
On a show like this, we're kind of desperate for a title race because it's interesting, it's lots to talk about. The writing's been on the wall for a long old time. I was looking at the YouTube channel yesterday, and there's a video on there that we made maybe even a month or so ago now saying this is the weekend that Liverpool won the Premier League title. So that's how long we've been thinking it's going to happen, and everyone else has been the same.
Yeah. They've been top since the 2nd of November.
Yeah, right.
Oh, it's an incredible run.
Yeah.
To have that in Arne Slot's first season as well. It was lovely to see him chanting Jurgen Klopp's name and returning the favour.
Nice little payback.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, when you think about handovers and teams trying to do that, and be interested in how Man City do it, not this summer, but next summer. Liverpool, it's been immaculate. It's been absolutely seamless and perfect. And to see these scenes, I mean, if anybody thought that it was an underwhelming season for Liverpool because they went out the cups, well, have a look at those scenes. You know? It was stunning stuff, and it was great. I mean, look, I've been a bit silly. Of course, it was great for them because in COVID they didn't have that sort of celebration in such fashion. I mean, Arne Slot said, when they turned up at the stadium, I mean, of course they knew they were going to win the league, but you can't say it, and you've got to stay focused and professional, like Spurs were. Making sure the integrity of the competition is upheld. But Slot, we have to talk about Liverpool first.
Wasn't even asked to lose this time.
Slot said that when they turned up and he saw the scenes and what it meant to the people, you know all these things. Yeah. He knows that Liverpool, until obviously he experienced it, and he said that was the only time that he had to hold his emotions in.
I think it was just
what I think what is great about that moment is, you know that lot are going to go crazy come the final whistle. You've got it. It's on ice.
They're just got to itching and bouncing.
But you've got to focus so much credit on Slot for so many reasons. And for him to come in his very first season in the context of what Liverpool have, experienced around a lack of titles for the size of club they are, and the fact that Jurgen Klopp's been such an iconic figure. One of the first things I saw when the teams walked out. It cut to the cop. There's a beautiful moment on Sky Sports, but you don't see often enough, actually, where the broadcast team are content, or the producer or director is saying to them, right, just shut the fuck up.
Yep.
We're going to have the fans having their moment, minute and a half, 2 minutes or whatever it was, just the fans singing You Never Walk Alone. And the first thing you saw was a massive banner from Shankly all the way through to Klopp included, of all the managers that have done stuff, but basically who've won the things that they've won.
Liverpool, Mount Rushmore sort of thing.
Slot's got to deal with that. To us, that's interesting. Slot, that's pressure, right? Yeah. That's like, when David Moyes came in after Ferguson, really, in similar energy.
Not as successful.
Well, yeah, but the energy's the same. And, but the fact that he's come in and had the confidence to be able to say, probably 90% of this actually works fine. There's a couple of bits I want to change, but not too much. And he's got the confidence and he's so comfortable in his own skin to be like, look, they need a guiding hand on the tiller here, not a revolution.
The humility of it as well.
And the other thing I would just add is, don't forget as well that arguably their three most important players have been through a contract saga for half the season.
That's right.
And they've had to manage that as well.
A lot of other clubs.
And they've still done it.
I think the mentality of Slot is a big part of it as well, not just the confidence of it. It's that the way that they've not blinked, the way they've not wobbled. Obviously, they've not really been put under a lot of pressure, but the reason they've not been put under a lot of pressure is they've just eaten up those points when they've needed to. Obviously, having the outstanding player in the league as well has just pushed them into a level that nobody else has been able to get near. But I do think, as you say, the way that he's just taken what works about that squad and kind of just recalibrated it, putting Ryan Gravenberch in that deeper role he's been an absolute revelation. That midfield has been so good. The way that he's mixed up who's played in the centre forward position. It's made them really, really unpredictable, and they kind of rotate it within games so much. And these are all things that are slightly different from how Klopp did things, and they're slightly less intense, which is mad when you consider how many games they've won and how many goals they've scored. And it's just been the smoothest transition I think we've seen in the modern era, in the Premier League era.
Oh, it's
Has to
been
be.
superb, and as you say, look, to go in there after following such a huge character as well, one of the most important figures at that club.
And the size of the club as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean.
History,
at that club, Klopp is one of the most important figures, certainly in their modern history, but I think we'd all agree in their history. And Slot just slots in. And
he's not been kind of like, he's not been a gobshite. I know every sort of manager that
Seems
comes
like
to
a
the
good
Premier
lad.
League, it seems like a good lad. Like, the first year, you always get like you always get a bit of stiff execution with the press, don't you? But like he's not really stuck his head above the parapet at all. He's kind of taken purchases like Sobersley and McAllister and stuff, and just made them fit into a really relatively simple system, really. And they're just
McAllister had a field day yesterday.
Yeah, that was his first ever left-footed goal, apparently.
Yeah, nice
Oh,
one.
wow.
it was a lovely
I
one.
mean,
Nice.
it was. They've been brilliant. They've been by far the best team. Good on them. It's a testament to how good they are that there was talk about how many trophies they could win. That's not manifested itself. But today is not a day to focus on that. Today is a day to focus on them being Premier League champions, which is really fucking hard to do.
And that's the number one priority.
And they've done it easily. They've basically done it easily.
They've achieved their number one priority. And again, in his first season, because to have that humility and the confidence, as you've all talked about, also his family were living back in the Netherlands. I know his dad is often goes with him and stuff. Watches the games and so on. But I just find his demeanour remarkable in this first season. I know he had a little shout at the referee after the Merseyside derby, but
the fact that we can all pick out that one incident.
Exactly.
That was the only one, and it was so out of character.
And remember, he's Dutch.
Yeah.
And they love a kick-off. So, extraordinary. We can talk about the game if you want. I mean, it was a very inconsequential result, whichever way it went, but it was only going to go one way.
Yeah.
Despite Tottenham Hotspur taking the lead. Did you celebrate that goal, Jim?
It's a lovely header.
I can't say I did. This was always going to be the bonus, wasn't it?
I thought
Tottenham lose there.
Is the Tartar race back on?
They were essentially bunting, weren't they?
Yes.
They were.
Indeed they were.
Spurs, it was. I know it's hard to kind of to try and get people on board with this, what I'm about to say, but if you think about it enough, I think you might agree with me. It was one of the most disgraceful contributions I think I've seen to a Premier League game for quite some time.
Well, I mean, their priorities are elsewhere, aren't they? So he's
Jim,
rested half
no.
the team.
Respect the away fans. People have travelled up there.
People are watching that.
If you were going to do that, you should have just said, anyone who's bought a ticket,
Fair play to those away
you
fans.
should say, though, the club should have said, look, by the way, if anyone's bought a ticket, full refund if you want, just to let you know.
Before you even leave.
Just to let
Did
you
you
know.
say that on the ticket? Our priorities are elsewhere.
Does that feel very Levy?
Yeah.
Jim, honestly, I understand the priorities are elsewhere, and I understand the result doesn't really matter. So I get all that, and you're also at someone else's
That ball
title
is still
parade.
on the same pitch as you.
Yes, exactly. There is still a contest to be had. It's still a competitive game.
Some of that defending, not tracking that. I mean, it was like Chris Eubank eating KFC. It's like they'd never done it before. You're like, what is this?
But not as entertaining.
He's just ran past me. Oh my goodness!
I think all the intensity was at the
That
Tottenham
goal
Hotspur.
was big. That goal was big.
That's what, but
I thought they
Eubank
were-
Jr. and Ben just took all the intensity away from Spurs and kept it in the
sucked
Tottenham
it out,
Hotspur.
yeah.
No, but that was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
He did.
Yeah,
That's
exactly,
why
yeah.
I mentioned it. bro.
So I think Spurs fans can at least console themselves
Did they-
by knowing that they have got a stadium that can hold that kind of event.
Yeah. Were they cutting to make weight? They just didn't
Maybe
spend
they
all the
were.
time in the sauna.
Ahead of Bodo Glimt. But there were less an opposition, more a kind of uncredited movie cameo.
I'll tell you what,
Weren't
that
they?
was. I reckon if they rocked up at the Washington Generals, they'd go, nah. No, we don't want any of you. This is like. At least we show that at least we kind of give the impression that we're trying.
It was honestly disgraceful stuff. It made me. I did a quick list of the players that I would be happy to stay at my club if I supported Spurs.
Because
Because
you'd normally do the players you want to get rid of, but that's presumably too long for this. So it's.
Oh, I ain't got all day.
Yeah.
Start with the keeper.
I'm not keeping him.
Who are you keeping?
Yeah. What of those players?
Yeah.
I'd keep Bergvall. I'd keep Gray.
Solanke?
I'd keep Solanke. I'd keep Kulusevski. I'd
Maddison?
keep Van der Ven, who I know didn't play. Maddison, no way. Maddison nowhere near my club.
All right.
If my team get promoted to the Premier League and we've got money, I would run a mile than sign Maddison. He is absolutely not the kind of player you want at your club. He's capable, and he's got such a kind of I play Hampshire Premier League on a Saturday's energy about him, like proper big time Charlie.
You reckon?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, he's putting look, this, but you can't.
Because he's capable. He is capable.
Right.
But as soon as look, put it another way, right? Rather than just bagging on.
I really hope we get to a point where you are linked with him. He's still like, nah,
No,
nah.
I wouldn't have him in it. I just think no way.
A doggy?
Let me put it another way. Yeah, a doggy's all
young.
right.
Hey, these could be Champions League players next season.
They could be. I doubt it though.
It's absolutely mad, isn't it?
Let me put it another way.
Go on.
You should be in a situation where it's almost like a total no-brainer if you're Spurs, and you go to the players and you say, "There's no pressure on you here. All the attention's on Liverpool. But how good would it be to be a party spoiler here, right? Like I'm not trying to kind of compare Postecoglou to Tony.
But a bit of confidence before the Europa League.
But I think Tony Pulis is a much better manager. But Tony Pulis used to thrive on that. Tony Pulis' teams used to be like, every single week it felt like he'd be saying to his team, we're unfashionable. Everyone hates us. No one wants us in this Premier League. Everyone wants to crown Arsenal with their amazing football. But we're going to show them that you can actually do it differently. We're going to turn up and we're going to spoil this party.
Yeah.
And you're not going to like it, but we're going to fucking love it. And what Spurs did is essentially they were like 11 empty shirts, like just waltzing around. I know it was 5-1, which is a fucking embarrassing result in the Premier League, by the way. Let's not forget that. But it could have been so much worse.
I feel we should turn our attention back to Liverpool though, because the Spurs were not the story, but they were so piss poor.
Feels good to have a little dig.
We had to say. But yeah, the goals started going in for Liverpool, and it was a glorious afternoon. Diaz gets the equaliser. We know what a player is.
Nunez did what he does.
He does.
Yeah. Nunez poured champagne on Mo Salah at the end of the game. It's like, don't do that.
Oh, mate.
Oh, it's the first thing you've got on target this season, is it?
Yeah.
Is it non-alcoholic? For crying out loud, you fool.
But looking at these sort of players, that's the sort of players that you sort of go, they've got a bit of dead wood that they could replace and have a better squad. It's wild, isn't it? Chiesa, Nunez, like all those kind of footballers in goal.
Chiesa was the only, in effect, the only player that Slot signed in the summer. I know they signed Georgi Mamadashvili as well, but he went straight back to Valencia and he'll come in the summer. So, I mean, you're right. Nunez is someone who can be replaced. They'll probably have to replace Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Endor probably go as well.
Every reason to expect them to be stronger next season as well.
It will be interesting in summer what Slot does. Does he still continue this the sort of, as you say, the tweaking of the Klopp system, and he keeps going with that, or does he go, right, actually now we've bedded in, let's have some more of my ideals and so on. So it would be very fascinating to see who they sign. I mean, McAllister's been brilliant. I love the fact he loves a shot from range, and that for him, you say his first left-footed goal. I mean, the way he took it was, or left-footed goal in the Premier League, perhaps.
I think in his career.
Blimey, how about that? He can hit them. Cody Kakpo's been really good. He did a little Kaka celebration, didn't he?
He did.
I belong to Jesus.
It was a lovely flashback.
Yeah,
lovely flashback to the Kaka legendary moment. I thought it was McAllister. We're going to do all day on this, but I thought it was McAllister's first left-footed goal for Liverpool.
Right,
not in his whole career.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't think people kind of distinguish between which competitions it was, but it was
Luke,
for Liverpool.
Who do you belong to?
I belong to you, Peter, and your lovely moustache.
Tonight, I belong to you.
Even though you've put your tanks on my lawn with that moustache.
Luke, I've had a moustache for years. I will not have you rewrite the moustache history.
What a claim.
I had it before it was fashionable.
When I said that to Pete earlier, he pulled up his own Wikipedia page, which has got a profile photo of him from a year ago with a moustache. Said, there you go, I did it first.
Drunk.
You look drunk.
Yeah.
Because I belong to a drink.
You belong to Jack.
Going on my phone while pooping.
You scored. You lifted your shirt up at Anfield.
MSG, pooping on the toilet and looking at my phone.
I belong to Diageo.
Mo Salah's goal took him past Sergio Aguero in the list of all-time Premier League goal scorers. He's on 185, 2 behind
Andy Cole hits the ball, scores a goal. Nearly as much, well, a little bit more than Mo Salah. Could he rock the cycling shorts, though, or the M16?
I don't want to answer that.
No. Terrible news for Andy Cole, Mo Salah's new contract, isn't it? Get rid of him.
Mo Salah did say at the start of the season, I want to knock Andy Cole off that fucking perch. So he's on his way. But Arne Slot, though, only Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte had better win percentages in their first season in the Premier League than than Arne Slot, which is a reminder of how good Mourinho and Conte were. In
Well, you
their
can't-
first
you
First
sort of-
Conte season's forgotten a bit, isn't it? It was incredible.
And now look at him on his way to the Serie A title.
You can't deny the points, though, Marcus. Like, you look at it, if Man City were an absolute toilet this year, they would be there or thereabouts, sort of battling for that number one spot.
But
So-
how was the fucking theatre, Mrs. Lincoln? if Man City got loads more points, they would be up there in the league.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Of course they would, but they didn't. They didn't fucking win.
Yeah, but when Man City have won the league, they've won the league with about the same points as Liverpool are winning to the league here. So I'm just saying,
There's still
it's
4
not,
games to
it's
go.
not like everybody's just sort of like ducked out of having a go at winning the league. That's what I mean, because Arsenal let us down.
I think it is like
Arsenal
everyone's
let
ducked out of going at the league. They've not really been pressured, have they? And it'd be interesting to see if there's someone who's closer to them next season and how they respond to that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, yes, of course they've benefited from Man City not being incredibly good.
And Arsenal not covering their injuries in the transfer market.
Yeah, fine. But with Leicester's title win, you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have, that you think they won it. And with Liverpool this season, again, you know, the old adage, you can only beat what's put in front of you.
Yeah,
Which they
and
repeatedly
they've excelled. Yeah,
And I think the fact that they accelerated away from everybody, that puts it to bed. As you said, the reason why there's not a title race is because they've been so good. If they'd been a bit sloppy here and there, then that gives encouragement to the other sides. I mean, you go back to when they were away to Brentford, and was it Nunes who scored those 2 late goals? That was the moment for a lot of people when Arsenal lost at home to West Ham.
Yeah,
he's come from West Ham. That was the moment where I think a lot of people thought the title was done. I mean, that was months ago.
they're 15 points clear with 4 games to go.
They've won it in April. It's stunningly good.
there's 3 seasons, 18, 19 and 20, where Man City and Liverpool did remarkable things in terms of points totals, right? 100 for City, 98 for City, then 99 for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Outside of those 3 years, if Liverpool win their last 4 games, I think they'll have the
They're in the
4th
80s, aren't
most. No, they'll have 94 points, I think.
Oh, Jesus, right.
They'll get 94 points.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know what conversation we're having here, but it's not that Liverpool aren't absolutely
Indeed.
outstanding and run strict scrutiny across the Premier League era.
And also, as you said earlier, with potential contract or transfer sagas within their squad of 3 very important players, and we do expect Trent to go in the summer. But Mo Salah has put in one of the best seasons for certainly a period of it, one of the best seasons we've ever seen in the Premier League.
Yeah, and Van Dijk's been at his best.
Yeah,
hasn't he,
and
as well?
Salah's, what is he, 32 now? So, he's no spring chicken, but my goodness, he's got a spring in his step. And just a phenomenal season.
I liked his quote, though, Marcus. He said,
Go on.
I was desperate to win the title. This is Van Dijk. I was desperate to win the title for the fans. This is the most beautiful club in the world, and we deserve all of this. Leaving out why he armed and armed over a contract for about 9 months. Surely it would be quite simple just to do an Ian Wright and just sign the contract if you love Liverpool that much, right?
Well, perhaps, Luke.
Well, just saying, it's quite funny how, like, not a week or 2 after you've finally done a contract after a massive saga, which, as we discussed, could have unsettled the entire club.
He could have done, but you don't know that, because if he's thinking, I'm one of the main guys here and I've invited
respect me with your money.
Well, you sit down with some of the owners of football clubs, it's fair to say that they might not be the nicest bunch. And you're thinking, well, you're trying to squeeze a little bit of money here and there. Well, I think I'm owed this, and I know you've got this. Let's not take the piss here.
Yeah, we don't know the circumstances.
To quote a former Liverpool manager, let's not take the piss here.
Was Roy invited? Like, Roy
Yeah,
was
he was invited.
Why is Roy still walking alone? That's what I want to know.
Did you see that some...
He's got Ray Lewington with him.
Yeah, that was
Did
part
you
of the
see
deal.
that some man had sold some flares to some Liverpool fans, and they opened it, and a big snake jumped out and scared everyone?
I also saw that someone, an Everton fan, had marked up a load of red flares as red flares, but they were blue flares.
Yeah, that was...
So in among the red, there was a little streak
I
of
thought
blue.
you meant there was an actual
That was
snake.
the tenor of my little joke.
Oh, right.
No, there was for those who didn't see it, there may or may not have been a snake, but there was Peter.
There was,
an Everton fan snuck in some little blue flares, and
But
a little streak of blue.
But I remember seeing
So they got the
somebody.
last
I
laugh.
remember seeing somebody do that. I remember seeing a picture of it on Reddit. Somebody putting the stickers over the top, and I went, "Well, now you've told everyone. Everyone's going to know." But
It's needle in a
clearly-
haystack stuff, isn't it?
It is needle in a haystack.
Yeah, but that's
it's
right.
flare in a flare stack.
It's pop-up pirate.
It's Pop-Up Pirate.
That's what it is,
At the Carabao Cup, like pre-win.
Yeah, the real tournament.
The real tournament when we beat those Liverpool slugs. there was a black and white flares. And like black flares just looks like smoke. It just looks like fire, guys.
That's right.
Rubbish.
When I saw that they were labelling them red ones up, blue ones up as red ones, my mind immediately leapt to, if you don't sell all those, the market for those is basically like gender reveal parties for babies.
Yeah,
and that's going to cause havoc among families all over the Liverpool area.
It's a good point, actually.
So your actions there are going to have a much larger impact than you intend.
Is the red too red for the pink of the girl? It feels like if you were giving birth to someone in Mortal Kombat, Scorpion and is it Scorpio or Scorpion?
Scorpion Sub-Zero.
Scorpion Sub-Zero.
A red that rich looks like a bad omen. Doesn't
It does.
It does
This
too.
child's
True,
gonna
actually.
bring about the end of us all.
So you're
This pop's
going to
be evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see how the Everton fans. What is their reach? The new popes are blue,
Anyway, I just think going back to the game,
if you must.
I would fire Ange Postecoglou before Thursday.
Yeah,
Chance for little Ryan.
Mason.
Levy did it to Mourinho before the cup final.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean,
It's often forgotten that, isn't it?
why isn't Levy ringing him up on the way home and go, so what in the fuck are you doing?
No, I tell you what will happen then, because it didn't work out in the cup final. What he should do is
That was such a way to hurt Mourinho. wasn't it?
yeah.
Get to the core of Mourinho. That's the only time anyone's properly hurt Mourinho.
well, because I mean, you remember how Levy was like just getting his belly tickled by Mourinho in that documentary.
Yeah,
and stuff. It was
yeah,
ridiculous,
yeah.
and I think he felt so spurned, and he was like, "Argh."
Yeah.
It was all spite. So Spurs will. They'll manage to get past Bodo Glimt probably, and then they'll be in the final, and whoever they play, that's when you get rid of Ange.
I'm not sure they will.
Second season
I don't
trophy, is
think
it?
they will.
I'll decide.
Well, there's no point in getting.
No,
rid of
I'm
him
not sure. I'm not sure they will.
No, and then they'll get Mourinho back and say it's all sorry.
I'm not sure they will get past Bodo Glimt.
Yeah.
I'm worried about that plastic pit.
Well, we'll see. But yeah. So I want to finish this Liverpool title chat with the fact that they are on a level with Manchester United as the joint most successful side in English top flight history now. And Gary Neville said, "It's a sobering day."
Gary Neville seems like he's
Love it,
never
finish it.
once been drunk in his whole life.
Yeah.
Talk about a sobering day.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it, Marcus. I'm just saying he's a fucking dweeb.
Oh, is Mo Salah a dweeb, is he?
No, he's not.
No.
No, he's not.
He's a bit of a dweeb. You got the Google phone out.
Yeah,
Company
true,
man.
actually, yeah.
Top-down marketing synergy up yours.
If he was a proper one of the top boys, he'd had an iPhone.
He'd have a Honor V3.
I think he'd have an
Honor.
iPhone 16 Pro Max.
Yeah, but it wasn't his phone though, was it?
That's true, it wasn't.
I think he'd have a Garfield phone from the 90s.
Imagine if we just took that kid's phone, looked at him, as I said about just
Smashed
put it on the
it on
floor,
the
stamped on it
Shit phone.
with his studs. Yeah.
Well, anyway, we want to talk more about Liverpool. So you can find myself and Jim looking back over Liverpool's season on our YouTube channel. We'll be identifying the most significant moments and the most important figures that have made this incredible title run. So get over to the Football Ramble YouTube channel to catch that video at 6 p.m. tonight. Coming up after this, Crystal Palace and Manchester City reach the FA Cup final. We're going on tour, everybody. The Football Ramble time tunnel is coming to a city near you. Glasgow, Newcastle, Birmingham, Manchester and London between the 9th of May and the 17th of May. Click on the link that's just appeared in the top right-hand corner of this video and get your tickets. Don't delay. Get one today.
Jim, can I just say one thing to you, right?
Can I just say one more thing? 7-1.
Yeah, like this game's gone. I am not asked by this game. I've gone. Me had gone this game, right? Can I say one thing to him?
Yeah.
If you continue with this bullshit right now, I promise you, I'm gonna fucking knock you clean out. There's no way you're laughing.
No, you're right. I shouldn't be laughing. My apologies. Sorry.
So, are you gonna tell all your followers that I'm better than you?
No, because you're currently 8-1 down.
Yeah, this game's got me. I'm not. I don't care about this game.
Well, back to the Football Ramble, everybody. That was Wayne Rooney playing FIFA against Angry Ginge.
Yeah.
Although Angry Wayne would be more accurate.
But Angry Ginger's now one of the stars of the Baller League, of course.
Yeah, you're watching that.
Was he going to actually punch him?
If you got a chance.
I think they're friends, aren't they? I think
Okay,
they're pals.
Rooney kind of laughed that off.
Yeah. But I mean, Wayne Rooney is absolutely the kind of friend that even if you've known him for years and you're having a good time, he'd just go, Flip, what are you laughing at?
Yeah.
What are you laughing at? Like Joe Pesci almost.
Yeah.
A little like that. Thanks to friend of the Ramble, Ashley, for sending us that clip. You can become a friend of the Ramble too by heading over to patreon.com/Football Ramble. Do it now! Now then. It's FA Cup semi-final chat. Crystal Palace 3, Aston Villa 0. Palace gubbed Villa to reach the FA Cup final. An incredible performance from those Palace people, Jim Campbell.
They were absolutely on the rampage. They did all of the things Palace do really, really well. And, you know, a lot of neutrals, because Palace have not won a trophy before, everybody wants them to win this. And they delivered
major
exactly
trophy, Jim.
what you would hope. Sure, a major trophy with respect to
the playoff final.
To the playoff final, sure. But what astonishes me most about this is how much Oliver Glasner seems to have Unai Emery's number. They've met 5 times.
That's a good point.
Since Glasner's been here. Palace have won 4 and they've drawn 1. They've knocked them out of 2 cups in that as well. It's like it's quite
The
something.
edge
You
of the
can't get
voodoo at the
near
moment,
it.
isn't it? Everyone's got a voodoo over other people.
You think Glasner's doing a bit of the old voodoo?
Well, not literal voodoo, but I just
might
think
be.
people, all right, hoodoo
It's all
rather than
about
voodoo.
marginal
All right.
gains,
You
isn't
do?
it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Someone's got someone's
singing
number.
The Prodigy.
I'm just saying there's numbers flying around all over the place. People have got numbers. People are giving away numbers here.
Whose
and left, right,
numbers
centre.
have you got?
Oh, I hate to think.
Didn't you have Manny Pacquiao's number once?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. That's literally his phone number,
Yeah.
not his number. I'm not saying you beat him in a featherweight competition.
I think he
in a
knows.
car park somewhere.
He's never set foot in the town I am in.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fucking knock him out.
You look like a bit of a Mexican featherweight boxer with that mustache.
Yeah, I like it, yeah.
See you the sombrero.
Yeah. Yeah.
Entering the ring with a ripped towel
Yeah.
over your head.
Nice.
Yeah.
Diablo.
Yeah, it would be El Diablo, the
Indeed.
devil.
Now let's get back to the semi-final.
Nah,
chaps.
fuck it.
It was, but you're right to mention Glasner and how good they've been. And this game, I mean, I saw Palace do this to Fulham in the quarter-final, and it was kind of the same job, which is more impressive because obviously Villa are better than Fulham. It's a semi-final at Wembley. Suddenly, that there is that. I mean, you've got pressure in the cup, but it's the big
It's the
stage.
occasion, yeah.
It's the occasion, exactly. And so many people, love Eberechi Eze and how he plays and the way he can change things, as he did in that quarter-final against Fulham when he just picked up the ball and thought, right, I think we're going to go 1-0 up now.
Yeah, and at that point, Fulham were on top.
They were, but that's all old hat now because they're in the final. And in this game, Eze opens the scoring, and the way he just smashes that ball in.
It's got so much space.
It's complete disregard to the cup, that is. It's like sod off everybody. Although the only thing I would say is that, I mean, Wayne Rooney said the goalkeeper's got to save that.
Well, if you watch the slow motion, it's quite interesting because Martinez, for some reason, I watched it a few times to try and work out why he was doing this, but it looks to me that he knows that Eze is going to hit it first time, and he almost guesses that it's going to go the other way. Because if you watch it from a certain
Which
angle,
is the way Eze you would normally hit it.
Martinez's weight is all on the wrong foot, so he can't get anything strong behind the save. So it's I guess you have to judge it as a total technical error because ultimately, as much as it's a great goal and we want to celebrate Eze and his contribution, Martinez should save that. I mean, he should save it.
But I think, and obviously he used to seeing Eze cutting inside and hitting it in the opposite corner, so that perhaps that's what he was anticipating.
The bend on it made it difficult as well.
I mean, but from Eze's point of view, it's an absolute peach. But apparently it was the 22nd time this season out of 53 matches that Villa have conceded a goal with the opposition's first shot on target.
Right.
And there's a bit of a thing,
It's annoying.
apparently, that some stats people and some
Nerds.
more eagle-eyed Villa fans,
Dweebs.
if you like, say that this is for cry out loud the first shot on target.
Right.
It's a bit of a thing. Now, clearly, if that first shot on target is in the last minute of the game and Villa are 3-0 up, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
But these
Voodoo.
It's not voodoo, guys.
Yeah, voodoo is a problem.
It was more, to be honest, for me, it was more Sar's goal that was more problematic because they're just so incisive right now, just exerting themselves in the right places, and the keeper just didn't really have that much of an opportunity to get over there because they're just so.
But when you
ball
think-
needs to go there, got to kick it there. Thank you.
They're really clinical like that. aren't they?
Yeah.
Some teams kind of dither and overthink.
Because they
those
know
moments.
they're not
Palace
going to
know
have
what
as
they're
many
doing.
chances as most people because they just kind of break out of the box as quick as they can and get up there.
Yeah, but I mean, again, though, the Palace, the whole thing, when they go into that game, they've just got this vibe of, we will not be denied. Like, you can imagine Glasner looking them all in the eye and go, we're winning today. This is our day. And it felt like that. As soon as they got on the pitch, as soon as the game started to play, they were comfortable. They are so well drilled. Adam Walton said after the game, he said the detail that Glasner gives us is it makes it easy. So all we've got to do is go out there and execute it. Now, it's easier said than done, but I love the way that he kind of phrased that.
I mean, there's a lot to admire about Adam Wharton as a player, just because he does the simple things so well, so regularly. He always makes the right decision. I saw a quote from him last week. Must have been one of those kind of tedious Sky Sports interviews or whatever it is. But they said to him, I think, describe your own game. And he was like, just simple. And he's very, very happy doing the simple stuff. And I thought he absolutely bossed Yuri Tielemans.
Oh, massively.
Like Tielemans, who's, at his best, is brilliant.
Yeah.
Obviously, done amazing things in his career. He just didn't get a moment's peace from Wharton. Wharton was all over him.
At one point, he made a tackle and a pass at the same time.
Set the tempo, made it, gave him such a basis from which to play from. And then we talked about it last week, didn't we? We said, this game, particularly this semi-final, has got a great number of players on both sides of the pitch who can do something individual to really make a difference. And the reality is, Palace did it. And the great testament you would give to them is just that when Mateta misses that penalty, doesn't derail them.
No,
at any
totally
point.
not.
They just go right back in straight up.
Well, when
straight
Mitchell
back in
misses that chance.
Yeah.
I mean, you would say it was...
which was comedy.
Yeah, you'd
It's
say
so
it was
poor.
like the perfect performance from Palace. You would have to kind of ever so slightly row back if you're being harsh because they missed a great chance and missed a penalty.
Yeah.
But as you say, it doesn't matter. That's the focus and everything that they just won't be denied.
They're just a really well-balanced team.
Well, they
That's what
are.
I really like about watching them. And perhaps that's just because Glasner knows how to get what he needs out of every individual position. But his system looks so sort of exhilarating when they pull it off like that.
You're absolutely right. It was the perfect performance, and they were able to manage the occasion and come out of it. Unfortunately, playing against Man City in a final, which to me, as I said last week, feels like it might just be a boring procession by Man City, despite everything else that's happened. But they are amazing on their day. Palace are able to put together these performances which really, really master an occasion. Glasner did it at Eintracht Frankfurt when he won a trophy with them.
I mean, that was incredible. He's challenging that same spirit Eintracht Frankfurt had in that Europa League run, which was incredible with all the fans and everyone. It was their trophy when you kind of look back on it. They've got the same spirit here.
They have, totally, absolutely. And they were able to use their individual players to make a big difference as well after giving themselves a platform, which they do so well at their best. So, look, going back to Villa, I'd just say, it's an interesting situation for them because Villa fans might be kind of rolling their eyes and going, oh God, what's happening now? Because, they got beat late on against Man City in a kind of a gutting way, really. But the last time Jim talking about Palace being good against Villa, last time Villa lost to Palace, they lost 4-1 in the league a while back. Villa went on an amazing run after that. They won like 6 or 7 games in a row after that. They need to close this season out and get themselves back up into that top 4. Otherwise, they're going to end this season thinking it's been an amazing hallmark season because we're in the Champions League, because we did so well, but they're going to come away with nothing.
Well, if they don't qualify for the Champions League, then in really harsh terms, it's a poorer season than last season. Because they made the Champions League. Now, I wouldn't look at it like that because the journey is important, Jim, and what they've done.
Well, you could smash the Conference League or something.
Or the Europa League, whatever they find
yeah.
themselves in. But they would feel a little bit, I don't know, gutted, I suppose, if they don't manage that.
It does affect their direction of travel, doesn't it? Because they've managed to attract some really, really good players because they're in the Champions League. And obviously there's the situation with Rashford and Asensio. Maybe they're harder to sign permanently if they want to do that, if they're in the Europa League
And he's
the
against
Champions
it.
League.
And he's well against it, Jim.
Well, he reckons the finances are against it.
He reckons Rashford is a terrible signing because he's so much money.
But then Crystal Palace win the cup. You're in the Europa League.
And you can sign Marcus Rashford Crystal Palace.
There we are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It should be called renamed the Rashford Cup.
And if Glasner was to stay, because there are chats that he may well have his head turned in the summer, a man who knows how to win that competition.
Yeah.
So it could be doubly good for. They could win the FA Cup this year and the Europa League next year. I'd say to Palace fans, start celebrating them now.
Get carried away. Why not?
As Ange Postecoglou said about 7 games into that first season at Spurs, let them dream, mate.
Yeah, they are dreaming now. They wish they could fucking wake up now, don't they?
Oh dear! I mean, it was so good that Palace performance that we saw a fan with a sling hitting himself on the head instead of applauding because he's obviously his hand was not in a net.
Everyone's got to do their bit.
They don't do the plaster of Paris casts now, do they?
Do they not?
Back in the day when we were kids and we broke, because I remember I've broken both my arms.
You get everybody to sign it.
Yeah, and you could probably use that to clap. Do you know what I mean? That would sound a bit more robust. But
Surely there must be a brace in there, though.
It's a brace, but I think it's like an air cast. So if you hit it to clap, it's not going to make a noise. So that's why he's hitting his own head.
Oh, can you not use
That's
your
why.
chest? What's wrong with the chest? Open your mouth, use your chest.
Or do this. Yeah,
I
could
just
do
think he
that.
was so excited.
Yeah.
Or was he kind of saying, keep your heads, lads, keep your heads?
It didn't seem like he was keeping his head.
Yeah, which was quite
broken your
ironic.
arm,
It
mate.
was very much from the Jordan Pickford telling everyone else to calm down.
A little bit.
Energy.
Oh, Vicario this weekend.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah.
Peter, you mentioned Sarr's goal with absolute beauty. That goal he scored,
Laced it.
which I think sort of put the tie in doubt. Really,
His first one, you mean?
yes.
Yeah.
And then he gets the second one, which was very well taken. But you saw the pace, the shift that man put in. You say everyone played their part. The defence were great again. Henderson made some saves. You mentioned Walton. You mentioned all the players.
When he came on in midweek, he was in astonishing style. He's
Yeah,
such
but Sarr, though, they gave Eberechi man of the match, didn't they, before he got the second? And then it was like, can you have two man of the match? Sorry, Eberechi, I think we're going to have to... You can present it to him. But when he scored that third, it is just that perfect day for Palace.
Yeah.
You get that cheer. Because at 2-0, you always think, if they pull one back, there's a minute or two of injury time. That third, it was proper party time. And it's great for them to go back to Wembley for the final with the mood and spirit they have. But my goodness, Man City are there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously we can talk about them now if you want, but the reality that is coming to pass, I think, is something that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, which is that they're going to boringly just fucking win the FA Cup.
Yeah.
But you not have a bit of hope for Palace though after
I've
these
got loads of hope for
performances?
Palace, but the problem is this is home for City. They're baying, aren't they?
And that's what it felt like. Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like in the semi-final against Forest, and they were just so comfortable there. It felt almost like a home game from home. The way that City seemed to have so much space and Forest seemed to have no space. The ball is always miles away from Forest player. It does feel like they've just stopped being silly now, doesn't it, City?
Yeah, Forest, I mean, obviously the game finished 2-0 to Man City in case anybody hadn't seen that. But, I mean, Forest seemed to be okay playing with the ball in their own half and hitting teams on the break. We know this. But when Rico Lewis scores after 2 minutes...
Yeah.
Disaster for us watching.
Exactly, Luke. For the neutral, it's like, no, you wanted it the other way round.
Mateus Nunes tried to wring his neck in the celebration.
Yeah, I saw that.
Maybe he was like,
It's
think
really
of the
hard.
neutral, Rico!
Yeah, maybe he was, yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. I just felt like the Forest just didn't turn up. I know it's harsh because City are on their day a really good team and they're used to this stuff. Yeah. But it was so disappointing. That Lewis goal's a heartbreaker. But Forest still had so much time and they've been so good this season. They couldn't do anything about it. It's almost like they didn't turn up.
I guess they did hit the woodwork. I mean,
But
yeah, later on they
they sort of came back into it.
But the space Lewis had, we know how good Forest are defensively. The space Lewis finds himself in after 2 minutes. And he just slots it beautifully.
They didn't get set. They just didn't get set.
They looked nervy and never really got settled. You're right. I mean, and Man City just took them down to their mechanical level and beat them with their experience.
It was nice to see Grealish starting in a slightly different role as well.
Didn't do anything really, did he?
No, but he did okay. And I think, but once they're 1-0 up, they just think, right, well, let's just keep the ball and nothing stupid because they know how Forest play. And Man City did that really, really well. Although... Anthony Elanga, when he comes on at half time, and this is the thing for Forest.
Bury it.
Well, indeed, Jim, I think if they'd have been beaten 2-0 and it's a professional job by Man City, blah, 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 you go, did we turn up? But it is Man City.
And it's the City of 2 years ago.
Exactly, and all that bollocks. But Elanga.
Yeah, he's got that chance.
You've got to score.
I think Forest were missing their two first-choice fullbacks, which has made a big difference there. And I think that lack of width was kind of evident, wasn't it? That's something you do expect from Forest, those raiding sort of wide runs when they are playing on the counter, and they did lack that a bit. So that's unfortunate.
And you've got to give a shout out to Zach Abbott making his. Basically, I think he's played once in the League Cup. That's basically it.
Amazing.
What an amazing baptism of fire that was, right? It's crazy. And I think also. You got to respect Morgan Gibbs-White because Morgan Gibbs-White is Forest's best player, and he tried to take the game by the scruff of the neck and do something, and it almost worked. It almost did it. That first strike off the bar,
the volley,
hit the woodwork a couple of times, didn't he? But
the goal of the season, nearly.
What a hit! I mean, it's just the margins are so fine because I think if he scores that,
oh my goodness,
you start thinking this could be a grandstand finish now because I still, and people are going to get tired of me saying this, but I still don't trust Man City under pressure. I think they're capable of doing what they've done, and actually, if you want to be even-handed to them over the last whatever it is. Month or so, they've been good. They haven't really lost. They've done okay. They've knocked over teams you'd expect them to win. They've dug out against teams like Villa late on, and they've obviously managed to master not just a semi-final, but a quarter-final away against a pretty good team as well. But they've still got that in them, I think. And if that strike from Gibbs-White is such a spectacular goal if it goes in. It gives everyone a lift. The crowd go mad. They're having an amazing day out anyway, they hope. It could have been different, but sadly it wasn't.
Yeah, I think that's what we would have hoped. You're absolutely right. I think Man City, one could argue that they were on it, so they could have turned the screw. But oh my goodness, when that... And then when you say about defensively shaky, well, Gvardiol, obviously, who scored the second goal, he then gets robbed, doesn't he? And then Gibbs-White has a chance, which he should really score, Peter.
It was sloppy, wasn't it?
It was a story of this entire match. And Man City, you forget, they're a bit of a form side, certainly in the league. You know, they've 4 or 5 wins and a draw in there as well. But yeah, it's a real shame for Forest. They do have a few games to sort of rescue their season and get into the Champions League, because they're sixth now. If they win their game in hand, they're third. So it's like it's a big leap, and it could be very useful.
Them and Villa are finding out now that it's great to get all the plaudits all through the season for being a good team, and everyone enjoys the vicarious nature of their Champions League campaign or Forest League campaign. But actually, the sad, harsh reality of English football is they could both end up with basically the square root of fuck all, possibly a Conference League position or something like that. Yeah. And it's a bit like, well,
still would be quite huge. I mean, not from where
not
the
in
lofty
context, though.
Yeah.
Start of the season for Forest, you'd be like all day long, you know.
Yeah. And again, Man City fans, you know, like you've won a lot.
Yeah,
that's why we wanted Forest to win.
I mean, they were the better team by a long way.
But they were, and you have to say that they do look somewhat resurgent.
If you want me to speak directly to Man City fans, because maybe they're not getting the credit for this, my advice to them is fairly simple: stop doing the fucking Poznan on TV, and I'll be a lot more sympathetic towards your behaviour.
And let's see what happens in that courtroom.
Yeah, exactly.
More Poznan.
Weirdly enough,
Poznan in the courtroom.
Yeah.
Turn and face the judge.
No Poznaning on the bench.
Weirdly enough, I'm led to believe the courtroom's now over. It's just for some reason we're waiting for the verdict.
Right. Yeah. Good point. Actually.
Would you like it if the lawyers
let Arne Slot read that?
It's gone on for so long.
Maybe they'll do it on the last day.
Get ChatGPT to write it.
Yeah. Would you find it? How would you find it if the lawyers, on the steps of the Etihad Stadium in front of the supporters, read it out, and then the lawyers did the Poznan if it went the way they wanted?
Yeah.
Would that bring
after doing a flare?
Cockles?
And if it's a sky blue flare, they're staying in the Prem.
Yeah.
If it's
a red one,
it's a red one.
The judge lifts off his wig,
and it's Eric Ten Hag, and he messed it all up for them.
Yeah.
No, the judge lifts off his wig, and it's not a human head underneath the wig. It's a championship trophy.
Hey, you're going for this one?
It's 6 points at Pompey next season.
Oh dear. Well, it's Palace versus Manchester City in the final, and despite it being potentially better for a club like Fulham, a sport like myself, or Brighton, so with 8th place almost certainly being Europa Conference League with a Man City win, I think I'd still rather Palace win the cup. All right, coming up after this, Ipswich relegated, and Real Madrid get very angry with a referee. Yes, that's right, Peter. Ipswich Town are relegated thanks to Newcastle United. Does that make you feel like a big man, does it?
Yeah, it was kind of
absolute bullying stuff. From the Saudi-backed disgrace.
Even Osler scored.
I got it wrong. 10-man Ipswich Town.
10-man Ipswich Town. Well, did you see the decisions that were made to get that sending off? He's only got himself to blame, and that's why they're in the Championship next season.
The second one in particular is mad.
Bollocks.
Absolutely.
The second one where he grabs him and stops him running.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
It's like gladiators.
Yeah.
It's like, you've been booked already. Yeah, but I didn't disagree with the booking. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This, of course, Newcastle beat Ipswich Town 3-0, and their relegation was finally confirmed.
I heard that when Ben Johnson walked off, he shouted at the fourth official, "It's fucking your fault, that isn't it? You've been relegated. That's your fault."
That's absolutely. Because Ipswich needed to win, which seemed unlikely. They also needed West Ham to lose, which West Ham managed to do so.
Basically, am I right in saying, sorry to cut you off, Marcus, but I'm right in saying that if it gets to the point where the only reason you're still in the league is because of maths, you're basically relegated.
You're buggered, with a few games to go.
When people start saying mathematically they're not relegated they're basically relegated.
Because Graham Potter, after the West Ham loss, which they managed to lose, he said that this is we're not relieved or anything to
Be
stay up.
mathematically safe.
Exactly, yeah. This is poor. And he said all the right things. I did think to myself, it would have been hilarious if he was punching the air. And all.
On the pitch like David Pleat.
Yeah.
But he's also
One
fuming.
more year.
Yeah. He's also really upset because you two relentlessly bullied him on Monday's YouTube video last week as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
watch
good
that and you'll
points, yeah.
find that that's
Cruel.
not an accurate description.
I've watched it,
Yeah.
and I thought to myself, when will these two start playing the ball rather than the man? I thought, when will they stop these ad hominem attacks
Well, Jim and I famously...
on a good, hard-working pro?
He's
Jim and
got
I-
a boy in the bath for this and that.
Jim and I famously Lopetegui back in.
Yeah.
But there we are. We have to,
Spoiler.
We have to put that aside, don't we?
Yeah, well, it's like things that have been forgotten about this season. The existence of Julian Lopetegui,
Yeah.
Newcastle playing Ipswich on the weekend, like no one remembers it.
Oh, it was nice for Big Dan Burn to score a towering header. Is there any
was.
other type of header that
No.
man could score? I'd love to see him do a diving header. That would be good.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever
stooping
seen
Teddy Sheringham
stooping,
kind of
a
header.
stooping on the floor kind of header. Yeah.
He would be like, was it Honda? The
E-Honda.
E-Honda.
E-Honda,
No,
right?
Dal
yeah.
Sim did that.
They all did that.
I thought E-Honda was the 100-hand slap.
Yeah,
It'd
but
be
he
more like
also
Honda, I
does a
suppose.
sort of flying headbutt.
It'd be more like.
Don't you know that, you virgin?
Newcastle did a 100-hand slap on Ipswich. didn't they?
Although actually,
Down you go.
Ipswich played in quite a weird way in that the Julio Enciso pulling down Jacob Murphy in the box was a mad decision. Sam Morsey just grappled Joe Willock for no reason off the ball at one point.
That's his thing,
They
though.
literally went down swinging.
That's Morsey's thing, though.
Right.
Grabbing.
He loves
Bad
to get
thing,
stuck in.
that.
Yeah, it is a bad thing, yeah. I'll see if it works in the Championship next season. Might do.
Well, I think to be fair to Ipswich, I mean, you know, there's a huge cash injection going up the Premier League. I know they've spent a lot of money, but this is the promotion last season was ahead of schedule.
They've essentially
et cetera, et cetera.
skipped establishing themselves in the Championship. So
Yeah.
actually, you would think they're probably be in quite good nick next season.
Yeah, and the only person that the players that you think they'll lose is Liam Delap.
Yeah.
And surely he'll be off. Maybe Amari Hutchison. But really, you'd think the core of that squad would probably stay together because, as a lot of people have said, you know, that a lot of them are Championship players and even a couple of League
They'll
One
be on
players.
Championship clause contracts as well, I imagine.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
They'll probably
And
keep McKenna.
Do you think they will keep McKenna?
I think so.
Well, we'll see.
Because it's been difficult to really judge what his true level is from this season, I think, isn't it? So I think a Premier League team who wanted to bring him in would maybe be taking a little bit of a risk, and I'm not sure who the team who needs to do that is. Possibly a promoted team, but I think that's unlikely.
I think McKenna leaves this season with his reputation
Yeah.
firmly
Yeah,
intact.
I think so.
Totally.
Yeah.
I wonder whether what's really interesting is how quick a year is in football, because the chat going into last summer was, remember how much chat there was about Leif Davis, about how great he's going to be, and I'm not criticising him because it's a tough step up. He's not really been able to establish himself at all in the Premier League season. A really, really quiet season, so it shows you the gap for some players. So I wonder whether maybe going into this last season, it might have been, he's been amazing. A bigger Premier League team might take a chance on him.
Yeah.
Seems desperate, likely to stay now, surely. So there are other players. I mean, and Alex Palmer's caught a few headlines in recent weeks as well, coming in goal. But Julio Enciso, is he on loan?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, he's going to return. So yeah, it's interesting. It doesn't feel like because they've come up and gone back straight back down again, and before that they were in League One. It doesn't feel like a fire sale situation. To
It doesn't.
me.
It doesn't.
With the
Absolutely
exception
right.
of Delap and possibly Hutchison.
Yeah, but it's not a fire sale,
No.
as you say. And it is funny, isn't it? Because you're right. I think McKenna still has his head held high, despite though quite harsh statistics. I mean, 4 wins out of 34 games so far this season, conceded 74 goals, 21 points. But most teams, they would be the worst team in the league with that kind of record. They would be, they're 15 points from safety. Most teams would be like, oh yeah, they're a load of rubbish. But I think that because of those things in the recent history and seasons, people have sympathy with Ipswich and they say, well, fair enough. And they've been, even though they're only 3 points above Leicester, they've been much better than Leicester, and of course way better than Southampton. So I think
But it's
all
still
in
not
all,
been great.
No, it's not been great. Of course, it's not. But
I don't think you can give people a total free pass.
you can't. But I think to hammer them might be a bit harsh. I think the hammerings are left for Leicester. And
back to Newcastle again. Yeah, hammering them.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Get that shearing muck off your top.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
But it was good to see Eddie Howe back in the dugout, though.
It was, yeah. I mean, he sort of spoke quite eloquently about his time on the sidelines and in the hospitals and stuff, talking about it. I mean, he says, like, big things about the NHS, which is obviously something we can all sort of agree with, but like he does have a club doctor as well, so that's the one who actually sent him into the ICU pretty much.
Oh, right.
And you do sort of go, I'm just thinking, as men of a certain age, we're getting older, can we have a club doctor?
That'd be
just
nice.
to keep an eye on our
Are you
vital
volunteering-
signs and
Are you
stuff.
volunteering for the position?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'll take 20 years in medical school. I'll be qualified by 60.
Surely we've got a patron. Someone on the Discord is a doctor.
Official
Yeah.
Ramble
Can
Doctor.
we have an official Ramble Doctor to just keep an eye on
Sorry,
it? Keep an eye on
rather
us?
than the NHS, you
Yeah.
think everyone should have a doctor on Patreon?
No, just to send us to the NHS because,
Has Starmer thought about it?
as a qualified hypochondriac myself, I need to know what is important and what's not.
Yeah.
Is there spinal fluid leaking out my nose? I need to go to the doctors.
I don't. If it is going to be you, I don't feel that comfortable being doctored by someone who said that you don't need to drink any water. All you've got to do is have one big drink of water when you turn 50.
Yeah.
And that'll do you for the
That'll
rest of your
sort you
life.
for the rest of the next 20 years.
That doesn't fill me with a massive amount of confidence.
Right. Or water.
Or hydration.
True enough. Gentlemen, I want to go to mainland Europe, if I may. Did you see the Copa del Rey final?
Absolutely magnificent.
Bloody Nora. Barcelona won it.
Real Madrid took it
3-2.
well, didn't they?
They took it very well.
Yeah.
Real
They-
Madrid.
They'd taken it badly before the game had even started.
Well, for those who didn't see, Barcelona won 3-2 after extra time, and Madrid ended. Well, they didn't end. They ended the game with, I think, all 11 players, and then there were 3 red cards just after the game, including our very own Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, and Antonio Rudiger, who threw ice at the referee.
Yeah.
Give him ice.
Through ice at a referee. So basically, these players were all basically sent off for various levels of abuse, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
In a game that followed a week where the build-up had been dominated by the attention on a referee because Real Madrid, their own TV channel, posted videos criticising him, as they've done with plenty of other officials this season.
Yeah.
They've essentially handled themselves in a totally unacceptable manner.
It's like Fox News.
Yeah, it basically has been like that.
Oh, yeah,
to the point
yeah,
where the referee
yeah.
in question before the game was on doing a press conference saying, "My son's being bullied at school. Can you stop this, please?" So, like,
They should face serious
it's
consequences.
unclear.
They really should.
But it's
They honestly,
unclear.
yeah.
But it's unclear as to how that's going to happen, given they're so powerful, even within the La Liga structure.
Yeah, they should.
The guy who runs La Liga, he's on the internet checking for illegal streams.
Do you know what they should have to do? These Real Madrid players is like straight after that cup fight. If you really wanted to embarrass them, they should have had to play Arsenal again.
Yeah,
The
they should get Declan Rice to referee their games.
Declan Ice.
and he gets to take the
Declan
free
Rice.
kicks of the opposition side. Just wankers.
Yeah.
Absolute wankers. I feel, do you know, I feel like that,
Galactical wankers.
I feel like
At least
that-
they lost.
I feel like that guy who gets chucked out the game of cards in lock stock, and he's outside the
Wankers!
game, and he's just like, he doesn't know what to say.
Wankers.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
feel like when I'm thinking about this Real Madrid.
But they released a statement after the referee had taken part in that tearful press conference where he's talking about how difficult it is that his son is coming home from school saying people are saying his dad's a cheat. In response to that, they said Real Madrid believes that the values of football must prevail despite the hostility and animosity that have been manifested once again today against our club by the referees appointed for the final. That is in response to that emotional plea for calm.
And then they
Double doon.
and then they refused. Then they refused to take part in the pre-match activities, boycotted the open training session, and didn't do the press conference.
I'm so glad they lost. But I mean, is Richard Keys doing their PR now?
ridiculous.
Like, I just do not get it.
Bellingham needs to be careful as well.
Well, do you know what I mean? Like,
he's really occupying the kind of quote unquote anti-hero thing.
Oh, he's put on the full suit and
Oh,
mask.
yeah.
He has. We have to say, look, we love Bellingham and what he does, is playing for England and so on. But he's acting like one. He's acting like one of them.
Los Wankos, mate.
Yeah. Well, indeed. And
You'd be careful, Jude. You're starting to sound like one of them.
yeah. Hey, that's a referee you're talking about. But I think, I'd implore you all to go and watch the highlights of this game because of the goals and so on. But the scenes of celebration when Jules Koundé scores a beautiful winner in the 116th minute is fabulous.
Yeah,
Absolutely
and 2 incredible assists from Lamine Yamal as well.
Yeah.
We have to hope that Real Madrid gets some kind of punishment for this behaviour, because it's essentially coming down to the fact they're going to lose the league. They've now lost the cup and they've been knocked out of the Champions League and they're having a fucking tantrum. It's basically a tantrum.
That's what it is. Yeah.
It's essentially a gigantic tantrum, exactly like they had when Rodri won the Ballon d'Or as well, by the way. It's a
Embarrassing.
pattern of behaviour which to them and their fans looks like we're the put upon thing, and everyone else says this is absolutely ridiculous. It's total projection, and I don't want to get into too much into the weeds, but I am afraid to say that it's essentially just mocking and aping the behaviour we see at the very top of politics in the populist world in which we now live. And I said it about Mourinho at Fenerbahce. He was plugging into that playbook totally, and now Real Madrid are doing the same.
We know they've gone back to Carlo Ancelotti, and it's a surprise that this behaviour is happening.
Well, he'll be gone. He's out the door, I think. That's probably why.
We know that, but he's been in charge for long enough now. Now, this is Perez, Florentino Perez.
Because Ancelotti's got a cigar on, probably doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, and he should do. But anyway, maybe he's being silenced to give him some sort of credit. But actually, we can't because he's involved in this. It's worked out well for Real Madrid getting Ancelotti back. Are they looking at another former manager? And they think, and they said to Jose, "Would you fancy it?" And he went, "Prove that you love me. Prove that you want me back."
I thought you were going down the Benitez route.
No, that'll come after.
Yeah.
Oh dear, I don't bloody know. That win means Hansi Flick has won all 7 finals he's managed during his career.
That's good, isn't it?
Bloody impressive.
Well,
Get him in. Get him in at
German. Just German, isn't it? Says German.
Get him in at Spurs
Oh dear.
Get him in at Spurs
for the final.
Here's your reward,
I think
Hansi.
they'd take that, yeah.
Just when you thought your day couldn't get any better.
Well, if he's going to give it the big licks about winning so many cup finals, let's have a.
Well, he's giving
Have
it the
you
big
enjoyed?
flicks.
He's not giving the big licks, he's just doing it.
Have you enjoyed directly witnessing a team in white having a gigantic tantrum? Because Daniel Levy's on the phone.
I'll get you a front row seat.
Yeah.
Staying with Spurs things, have you seen that Harry Kane and Eric Dyer are on the verge?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Bayern beat Mainz. Eric Dyer got the third, a.k.a. the clincher.
It's not a Bundesliga title, it's the last chopper out of Spurs.
It is.
Yeah, they're looking down, going, that is carnage down there.
Eric Dyer's having a good time there.
He is,
he's seen as quite a reliable player. He's not always a starter, but he's actually. Are you watching
He's
Thomas Tuchel?
contributing.
He's contributing, Jim, exactly. Sadly for Kane, he won't be playing in their potential title clinching match, but they're very much on for it.
Yeah, he got a 5th yellow of the season, didn't he? So he's going to miss the game
see
in which
that?
they will almost certainly win the title. Quite harsh, I thought.
Which actually means if you don't play it in Germany, if you don't
get
play
a
in the
medal.
game, you don't get a medal.
But you get the golden boot again. Oh, not
There was
I'll
a
swap any of this.
there was a Just Eat advert served to me via my Facebook algorithm with Harry Kane, and he was basically talking
About fish and chips.
about fish and chips.
I saw that,
Yeah,
yeah.
so he was basically saying, I like that we've got the same algorithmic sort of interest.
I didn't see it on Facebook. I saw it on, I think, on Instagram.
Right. Well, he's sort of basically saying, what British food would you recommend to, somebody who'd never had it or whatever? And of course, because we have no food.
He was.
Disagree.
I just come away from the Just Eat thinking, why are you asking Harry Kane this? I think I'm more boring bloke.
There's a whole menu. You pick your own food.
Exactly.
Is that an option on
The whole
there?
point of Just
You get
Eat.
Harry Kane picks what you have.
Harry Kane Just Eat. What Harry Kane would
Fish and
eat.
chips again.
What about breakfast, Harry? A fry up? No, fish and chips.
Fish and chips all the time. Served in a
I went a
sketcher.
bit
Lovely.
Frank Clark there, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Oh dear.
He only eats wings and hooters.
Yeah, but
No, he's got his flicking his tongue out, getting a fly off a lily pad.
if you do need some fish, old Frankie will jump in and get it for you.
Canal fish. Frank's canal fish.
Little pike perch from the moat around the City Ground.
Oh dear. Lovely to think Eric Dyer's going to be a champion.
You read the room.
We don't care.
The three of us are ultimately fine with it.
Yeah.
We're not
against it, yeah.
Stop fucking talking about it.
All right, okay. If you're listening, Eric, Luke was having a go at your brother. Okay.